On the night Goliath was born, the world bore witness. Shooting stars filled the sky above the Valley of Gath, as though they knew that an anomaly was being brought into the world that night. His birth took 3 days. After all, the human woman's body was not designed to give birth to a baby the size of a full-grown man's torso. Nobody knew who his father was, but his mother's identity revealed a lineage that reached back through generations of tragedy and choice. On the day that Goliath graced the earth, the news spread through the Valley of Gath like wildfire. And by the morning of the 3rd day, the village elders had convened in an emergency council. They were worried to their bones, and for good reason. One look at the child, and they knew. The ancient blood had returned. The boy's mother, Orpah, was a descendant of the Moabites, a people with ancient ties to the giant clans, and the child's size already matched a full-grown man's torso at birth. This was a giant, a child of the Anakim and Rephaim, the ancient races of giants that once ruled with unchallenged dominance. Warriors of legendary prowess, descended from the giants that made even the bravest Israelite spies shake in their boots. The Anakim had held fortified cities that seemed unconquerable. It took Joshua himself, leading the armies of Israel with divine backing, to finally drive them from the land. And even then, some had survived, finding refuge in Philistine territory. The elders understood what having such a bloodline meant, and it excited them. A fully grown Nephilim was worth 100 ordinary soldiers. Unstoppable in single combat, a force that could turn the tide of any battle. So they gathered to answer one question. Do they raise this child as their ultimate weapon against Israel? As a champion who could crush their finest warriors and make the Philistines the dominant power in Canaan? Or do they kill him now before his strength awakens and they lose the ability to control what he becomes? The council debated for hours, but in the end, their ambition won. The charm of military supremacy was most important to them. The boy's life was spared, but after that decision, he no longer belonged to his mother. He was immediately registered as military property and became an asset of the state. The elders named him Goliath, which means the exile. When Goliath was 5 years old, he was already over 5 feet tall. The other children in the village were terrified of him and refused to play with him. Every time they saw him, they fled to their mothers. No matter how gentle he tried to be, they avoided him. Size alone made him monstrous in their eyes. Whenever they saw him, the children chanted cruel rhymes to spite him. Monster child, heaven cursed, last of the fallen, judgment burst. But the young Goliath's life wasn't entirely without joy. Though he belonged to the state, they allowed him these early years with Orpah. Even weapons begin as children. Every night she held him close, and even though she didn't fully understand what he was or how he had come to be, a mother's love ran deep, and she loved him fiercely. "You are not a monster," she whispered. "Whatever the priests say, whatever anyone says, you are my son. You are special. You are meant for something." Orpah sensed it in her son, something ancient, something powerful. She had no words for it, but she felt it in her bones. "The world is older than we understand," she told him. "There were giants once, in the days of old, people of great power. Maybe you carry something of that in you. Maybe that's why you're different." The young boy listened closely to his mother, but he still wondered. Why was he born this way? What did it all mean? She could not give him all the answers, but her love was enough, for now. On Goliath's 8th birthday, Commander Azar, a general of the Philistine army, came for him. He brought 20 soldiers as an escort. "The boy comes with me now," Azar announced. "He will be trained as a warrior. He is the property of Philistia. This is not negotiable." His mother begged, but nobody answered. It was time for the boy to fulfill his destiny. That was the last time Goliath ever saw his mother. But even though they had taken him away from her, he never forgot the stories she told him. Even as he became the instrument of the Philistines, he tightly held on to her words. He was special, and that meant something. The garrison at Gath was where boys became men. Its training was brutal, its reputation merciless. Boys who survived emerged as hardened warriors, reforged in blood and pain. And that was where Goliath was to spend the next 8 years of his life. The commanders placed his training under the watch of Master Talmai, a scarred veteran who had lost an eye in a battle against the Israelites. When Master Talmai set his eye on the young giant, his first words set the tone of the rest of Goliath's life in Gath. He said, "You need to understand something right now," Talmai told him. "You are not human, you are not Philistine. You are a tool, a weapon that we will wield against our enemies. And tools don't have feelings. Tools don't question orders. Tools exist for one purpose only, to break our enemies." For the next several years, they beat Goliath. It was training, but it was cruel. Hours of intense drilling sessions with severe consequences if he didn't perform up to expectations. Every single day, Goliath was pushed to his limits. His destiny was singular, to become the most feared warrior in all the land, a symbol of terror and despair, and a living safeguard against the threat of Israel. The Philistines did not stop until he became exactly that, or died in the attempt. But while the Philistines tried to break Goliath's body during the day, questions haunted the boy at night. He had always wondered about what he was. He knew he was different, and that he was somehow connected to the giants of old, but how? Why? What had his people been like before they were hunted to extinction? His hunger for answers led him into the shadows. Like a curious bee, Goliath sought out the keepers of the First Age. Old men who remembered what others had forgotten, who guarded the knowledge of the world before the flood destroyed everything. And so the second secret part of the young giant's life began. During the day, the Philistines trained his body for war, and during the night, he snuck away from his watchers and learned the secrets of his people from the keepers. One of the keepers, an old scholar named Jabneh, became particularly close to Goliath. The Nephilim weren't the monsters history claims, Jabneh told him. They were the offspring of something beyond human understanding, born from the union of the divine and the mortal. They were builders, teachers. They gave humanity knowledge that jump-started civilization itself. But their power frightened the other gods, and so the flood was sent to wipe them out. "You," Jabneh said, looking at Goliath with something like awe, "you are the last echo of that ancient union. However you came to be, whether through your mother's bloodline or through something else entirely, you carry what they carried. You are the final remnant of a pre-flood world." When Goliath turned 15 years old, Master Talmai declared his training complete. At 7.5 feet tall, Goliath was the finest warrior that Talmai had ever trained. There was nobody who could hope to match the boy on the battlefield, except another Nephilim, and there were none of those left. But despite his pride in what he had created, Talmai felt a strange sorrow for the young man. He saw what Goliath could not, a tool destined to be used until broken, then cast aside.